Welcome, everybody, to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show featuring Dr. Carolyn Dean. Join Dr. Dean for the next 2 hours, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginney Sanders, also known as Ginney Almighty. Join Dr. Dean as she shares with us her vast range of experience, knowledge, talent, and wisdom. Phone lines are now open, and we'll be taking your calls from around the world and here in the USA.
Welcome everyone to Dr. Carolyn Dean Live here on Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting humankind with universal love, or as I like to say, uniting Dr. Carolyn Dean with the whole wide world that desperately needs her wisdom and her joy and her compassion to light their way in a very dark and dreary world. Well, I mean, we're not dark and dreary. As a matter of fact, I'm looking out on the mountains of Hawaii right now because I'm visiting Dr. Dean in this glorious state and in this glorious place. This is Ginney Sanders, also known as Ginney Almighty, and I'm going to be with you for the next 2 hours. And Dr. Dean's going to be here, and we're together here in this glorious place. But we do notice that there are people in the world that probably are not faring as well as we are. And what we speculate about that, and of course it's just mere speculation, is that, from my old pastoral days, I would say people perish for a lack of knowledge. And that is truly happening this very day on our planet. People are perishing for a lack of knowledge and a lack of an appropriate understanding of really biologically how we are intrinsically woven into this incredible planet that we live on, our biology and our ecology and our systemology and our wordology all tied together to make us very healthy, wealthy, and wise if we so choose. We can also be incredibly disconnected and not fair as well. That's what Dr. Dean's here to talk about today, how to reclaim your connection to the natural rhythm of health, vitality, and well-being, not only through her incredible wisdom and her 50 years of experience as an MD and an allopath, an herbalist, a nutritionist, a person who's got so much experience with so many different modalities, whether it's Chinese medicine, whether it's things like Egoscue, structural functional medicine, whether it is, again, natural medicine, and just her own practical Scottish wisdom. She knows a lot about things and may be able to help you regain that passion and that joy and zest for life, and also health and well-being. And I know it's happening for our producer, Rachel, who's been with us for the last couple months. And we were just commenting on how radiant and beautiful she is becoming just as she's been listening to the show and applying just Dr. Dean's few basic principles, more energized and feeling better and more optimistic and hopeful and having more movement and flexibility in her body. And that's what we're here to talk about. So without further ado, I'm going to bring you the wise one, the author of the Magnesium Miracle, Dr. Carolyn Dean, MD, ND, just reminding you that this is not a medical advice show. We're not allowed to give medical advice, but Dr. Dean can whip it out. I mean, some serious information that will help you anyway, and it won't be medical advice. Tee-hee. And we just love that about Dr. Dean. So without further ado, I'm all discombobulated here because I'm in a new space and I have to find my children, but I am going to say welcome our very own Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Yes. In this instance, I can come in without the children. I understand your dilemma. I mean, can you imagine trying to get 20, 30 children on a plane with their masks on and everything to bring over to do the yay for us? No, it didn't work out this time, but we'll plan better the next time.
Very good.
So let me do the math on how long I've been a doctor, a medical doctor. I started training in the 1974, 75. I graduated and began practice in 79. So that's 42 years of having an MD. I guess I had 5 years, 47 years studying. And years before that, I was reading and studying health and lifestyle. But as I often say, nobody would listen to me. So I said, okay, then I'll be a doctor, and then you'll have to listen to me. I'll be my own Fauci, and the world will have to listen to me. Look how that turned out. But anyway, enough wordology on that. So I've been a doctor for 42 years, which is, that's fair enough. That's long enough. And I wanted to bring up a sidebar, Ginney. I hadn't mentioned this to you, but in the recent, couple of months, I've come across two people, two men, one in his 70s, one in his 80s, and they've developed a chronic leukemia where they have too many white blood cells. And I was looking for statistics to see if there's an increase in chronic leukemia. There's chronic lymphocytic leukemia. The lymphocytes are a type of white cell. And there's chronic CML, myelogenous leukemia. And the myeloid tissue that can produce what I guess platelets, red blood cells, probably some white blood cells too. Now, the thing about total biology and leukemias and blood diseases is they relate to your ancestors, your family. It's all about the family. So if your blood is showing signs of extra growth, or we call it a disease right away in allopathic medicine, but in total biology, if the blood is reacting to a conflict of the family regarding the family, then the white blood cells or red blood cells will react. You could get an anemia, for example. So I began to think, the conflict of family is pretty huge these past 2 years, because family has been kept apart. When your parents, grandparents are in a nursing home, you haven't been able to visit them. If somebody goes into the hospital, you have not been able to visit them. Tens of thousands of people are dying alone, and the family members that are left are grieving at such a deep level that we've really never experienced before. If you were told, well, your mother or father is dying, but you can't see them. You can't even, I don't even think, when I asked people, I began to question people about their relatives who died during COVID, not necessarily just from COVID, but they couldn't get to them. I said, well, did they put you on Zoom? Were you able to talk to them? No, nobody was allowed in the rooms. They couldn't organize that sort of thing. So it made me think, oh my gosh, are people developing more of these white blood cell conditions because they've been cut off from their family? Or in the case of one of these friends who developed this leukemia, it was because a person who he regarded as a family member betrayed him. It's the stab in the back, but in this case, it's a stab in your bone marrow. And you try to develop more red blood cells, white blood cells, whatever. You try to develop more cells to heal the problem. And in medicine, instead of looking at the conflict of the family and giving some, information and counseling like we do, either by just these short vignettes, sidebars that I talk about, or we refer to our friend Dr. David Holt, who's a medical doctor, and he specializes in this type of work, total biology and the conflict of disease. The other gentleman, he'd had a hernia surgery, inguinal hernia in the groin. He came home and he started to feel faint and sick and everything and collapsed. He was bleeding internally. And his wife, he's 80 years old. His wife just, she just started pounding on his chest, trying to wake him up, ran to the neighbors. They came, called the ambulance, et cetera, just frightened her, close to death herself. So he gets out now and he thinks that's it. This is the wake up call. I thought I'd live longer, but it's probably over. And it was, and I'm not gonna, I can't give people false hope, but I talked about our over 80 club, and I talked about how, so now, okay, so he did that, he came home, but now he's being told he has too many white blood cells. All of a sudden they're saying, now you have something that's really going to kill you. Now you have a condition for which we have no cure, but we're going to test you. He says he's been in the hospitals so much for blood tests that they've made his anemia worse, which is what they do. And they're trying to tell him he has this condition. And, as much as I could, I told him about the family, like his wife is she thinks he's going to die any minute now. His wife still has PTSD, the post-traumatic stress disorder from his collapse, and he's stressed out because he upset her so much, and now he's stressed out because they're telling him he has a blood condition.
Now, is he going to take Pico Silver?
I told him about, he knows about my magnesium. What I started with, he also has rheumatoid arthritis, and he can't move his shoulder that well. So I gave him some Remag lotion, and I sent him some information, and I'll slowly introduce him and why Ginney's mentioning Pico Silver is because it supports perfect stem cell creation in the bone marrow rather than erratic or forcing one particular line of cells. It'll just produce a balance. So yeah, that would be where to begin. But I have to be careful. I don't want.
Yeah, I know.
They know I'm a doctor, and I have to be careful and educate people, and do it slowly. But seriously, the over 80 club really struck me as so important. I think it was me talking about this Susanna's mother, who in her 80s got rid of her rheumatoid factor for her rheumatoid arthritis symptoms disappeared over the years. So there's a lot of hope for people at any age, and it often happens that a person in their 70s or 80s will have a shocking event, and then the event itself, he was losing blood into interstitial tissue or deep tissue, create a big hematoma, which is like a blood-filled bruise. So his blood went down, so his bone marrow had to produce more red blood cells, and then the shock and the stress in the family caused him to produce more white blood cells. And I think even just the shock of a surgery will increase your white blood cells as the body thinks that it's under attack and might be getting an infection or whatever. But to my mind, they're not letting him wait long enough for his body to recover. He's still under massive stress, which they don't recognize and won't, put into the picture. So that's my mini rant about how whatever happens to us, there is a reason for it. And doctors, they really are medically ignorant of the possibilities of what could be causing symptoms, the conflict and the stress. Post-traumatic stress disorder in medicine, I think, should be designated as a valid disease.
Yes, and it's not because they're bad people. It's just because they were never educated,
Never.
Never. I mean, just never.
Never. Right. Very sad. So that's where, it is up to us to spread the word, and we're doing the best we can, but we're often saying, well, we can't say that because the FDA will get after us, and well, we can't tell you how this works or how that works. So we do depend on you to come to the radio show to get some words, and until they cancel this, we'll do the best we can to educate people. So I think the timing is right for people to sort of push and promote our formulas to friends and family, because everybody's under attack, stress, and poor diet. I don't know what's going on in other communities on the mainland, but I noticed here, just going out to restaurants a couple of times with Ginney and Greg and some other people who are visiting, the prices are just double what they used to be. So I don't know what the food prices are. I get most of my food from the farm, but I think people are going to be suffering because they're not going to be able to eat well. Junk food is cheaper than good food. So I think there's going to be a shift there. I know our restructure is helping a lot of people, fill their nutrient needs as well as our formulas. But yeah, we're going through hard times.
Yep. That's why we all have to band together, as you said, and, look out for one another. But most importantly is to just psychically keep each other awake and aware as much as possible. I mean, if I take responsibility for myself, that's the biggest asset, because I'm just going to radiate positivity to others and practicality too, because we are in a little bit of a pickle. So we have to be, confident and joyful. At least that's the way I choose to go about it, and be also armed with good information, which is where you come in and let people and support them making good decisions.
Right. And although some people may think, well, how can you be so cheerful in the face of people suffering? But that's easy to answer, because it takes more energy to have a frown and be depressed than it does to try to smile and be get a smile back from someone else, to be positive, to really live your life in a way that you want others to live. You want people to respect you the way you respect them. All that glib glib cliche archetype talk is very important at times like this. Just basic manners. When someone rushes up to me at the market, and I'm there selling the vegetables, I'm in front of my cash box, and they rush up and they start saying, I want this, I want that. I will stop them and I will say, good morning. And boom, it sort of shifts everything. We become human to human rather than, whatever else is going on in their minds, where, people are just so frantic about who they are and where they are. Anyway, I am babbling a little bit here. Do you want to add some babble, Ginney?
Yeah, well, it's just easier to be happy. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
It just really is. It's better energy. It's better for you. It's better for your body.
Yeah.
And even if you don't believe it, you have to try. At first, if you don't succeed, you have to try again. You have to have an optimistic outlook. I think it's better energy.
Right. Because it's what we can solve is our own world, our own worldview. We can be positive in our own world, even if we think and know that we really can't change the outside circumstances. We can shift within our own selves, and that's the most important thing anyway. So that's family, and how our blood diseases can come from some sort of malfeasance, mal interaction with a family member, either fearing for them or being afraid of them. It goes both ways. So today, Ginney put out a blog in the midst of her being here supposedly on vacation. Ginney keeps working. And yes, so the blog is at drcarolyndeanlive.com. So the words we start with, spending so much time near the ocean inspired us to do a radio show on the omega-3 fatty acids. Back in 2020, we all realized the essential requirements of the body for defensive nutrients, especially magnesium, zinc, vitamin D, and the essential fatty acids. And we began to do the home blood spot test from GrassrootsHealth. And you can sign on to that research project by clicking research at our store website, rnareset.com. So what we discovered in doing these tests is that most of our customers, including myself, were low in the omega-3s and vitamin D. And we've spoken a lot about vitamin D in previous blogs and radio shows, but what about the omega-3 fatty acids? Studies show that low levels of the omega-3s, which most people think you get from fish oils, low levels correlate with certain health problems. Higher levels correlate with good health. Grassroots Health has the following to say about omega-3s. Now listen to this. This is amazing. Over 23,000 published research papers support positive health benefits of high omega-3s, with more than 6,000 supporting heart benefits, 1,000 for the lungs, 2,000 for diabetes. Hundreds of studies suggest that omega-3s may provide benefit for a wide range of diseases, including asthma, depression, ADHD, autoimmune disease, and cancer. Higher omegas have been associated with improved cognitive function, lower risk of dementia, longer life, reduced risk for death from any cause, beneficial for normal vision, anti-aging, skin health, maternal health, immune system, brain health, heart health, neural liver function, joints and muscles. Now, when medical doctors read something like that, they turn off, they just shut down, because it's like, well, one drug can't do all that. Because they look at nutrients through the lens of it being a drug. But what they don't know, what they don't study, they've never been taught that, something like these omega-3 fatty acids, they make up the membranes of all the cells of the body, including the brain cells, the neurons of the brain. So all these fatty acids have a place in every cell in the body. And that's why studies can show benefits in so many areas, and that's why they're so important. I mean, we talk about the minerals being important at the cellular level to make, the cell metabolism work. My favorite magnesium is responsible for 1,000 enzyme systems and 80% of known metabolic function. So it's similarly with omega-3 fatty acids. They're required for every cell membrane. And what I write about in a book, I used to call it total body immunity. What are we calling it now, Ginney? Total body defense?
Yes,
Right.
total body defense.
Yeah, we can't call it immunity because it looks like we're telling people we can help their immunity. How crazy is that? So in the book, it might still be up there as Total Body Immunity. It's a free ebook, and it talks about the various nutrients that help defend the immune system. I say in there that my first real exposure to omega-3s was an eye-opening article called Essential Fatty Acids and Hyperactivity, written in the year 2000 by a friend of mine, Helga Ferry, who's a medical anthropologist and journalist up in Canada. And Helga writes about these essential fatty acids and how some research in the UK showed that when children don't have enough of these essential fatty acids, they develop ADHD and asthma and dry skin. And you'll have to read the book to see this long quote, but it's very important to understand how the essential fatty acids waterproof the skin. Uh, this is an action of the membranes, the cell membranes. They end up waterproofing the skin. And if you don't have these omega-3 fatty acids, then you develop dry skin. You can lose nutrients through your skin. You can develop all kinds of problems. And I guess similarly in the brain, if you don't have proper omegas in your membranes of your neurons, then you can't or you don't have proper perception, cognition, memory, attention, etc., etc. And I guess those are the basic points. Like I said, back in 2000 when I learned about this, I knew the omegas were very important. But then, see what happened with these fish oils is when we started discovering that fish had a lot of mercury, people just backed off fish. I mean, it was incredible in New York. Now, who was it? Oh, it wasn't a patient. It was just I think a friend of an associate. He was eating fish 5 times a week, and he started developing skin problems. And somebody finally tested him for mercury, and he had sky high mercury because he was eating all that fish. So we know that fish was causing problems in people who are trying to get their essential fatty acids through their diet. And what we learned from Grassroots Health is 82% of the people who took the Grassroots Health omega-3 blood test, they pricked their finger at home and sent the blood spot in, and 82% were below the recommended 8% of an omega index. And also with the vitamin D testing, the levels we want to be are around 60. I used to say 40, but I've learned now that I want to be in my 60s, and I was 19. So that led me to to produce a vitamin D3K2 reset product. And then the omega-3, what I did there is, instead of making it out of fish oils, which I know that the fish oil that's being sold doesn't have mercury, but the processing to get it mercury free, I think, affects the oils. It has to. It's processed, and in ways that really don't even have to be mentioned. They're not on the label, what they do to these oils to get it to a stage where you can say, oh, there's this much of EPA and this much DHA. So what I did, because I didn't want to deplete the krill oil, the krill fish oils, because krill, they're the prime food for the whales that come down here to Maui. So I was very tuned into that. So we made omega-3 algae oil, and it doesn't seem to cause burping for most people. And I put in vitamin A and vitamin E to round out the formula, and actually to come to the point where we had all the nutrients covered in our formulas, every one of them. So I've digressed, sidebarred a lot from the blog that Ginney put out today, but just to pick up there, hand in hand with reduced inflammation. So yes, omega-3 fatty acids reduce inflammation. So does magnesium. Omega-3s increase the activation of macrophages, neutrophils, and dendritic cells, which are all the first responders to help identify pathogens or viruses in infectious processes. They increase T cells that destroy infectious organisms, B cells that remember the pathogens and make antibodies. And they also increase activity of immune cells, inhibit inflammation, decreasing the production of inflammatory chemicals, etc., etc. Then I do talk about the burping, and I went to the omega-3 algae oils, etc., etc. On the label, we have the dosing or the amounts. It's a 500 milligram capsule. It's a big capsule as it is. We did not want to make it any bigger. And in that capsule is 250 milligrams of DHA, and that fatty acid, omega-3 fatty acid, is mostly found in the nervous system, brain, retina of the eye, and mitochondria. It helps support neurological function in adults and in fetal and infant neurological development. EPA is the second major omega-3 fatty acid, 125 milligrams. It helps support and maintain the structure and function of a healthy heart, helps balance mood, and balance menopause symptoms. Now, what's happening in omega-3 fatty acid research is there's no RDA. They talk about minimum dosing 250 to 500 milligrams. Now, our dose is 375 milligrams of the DHA EPA, and then the other 125 milligrams is the algae oil. Now, what is the dosing in the studies? It is actually much higher. What happens when they study anything, drugs or nutrients? They tend to use very high amounts so that they can get a reaction or an effect. They want to create an effect so that they can have a result that they can publish. So what's happened is when they sort of, I think in a study about nutrients, as we've found in our magnesium studies, They stop people from taking anything else. They give high amounts of this omega-3, in the case of studies, the fish oils. They're giving 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams. We have 500 milligram capsules. So they're giving 2,000 to 4,000 milligrams daily to try to achieve a result. And what I've heard so far from some of our customers is people who've been on high doses of omega-3 fatty acid fish oils, like the 4,000 milligrams, when they switch to ours, and if they think, well, 4,000 milligrams, and Carolyn's omega-3 algae is only 500, maybe I have to take 6 or 8. And they very quickly find out that that's too much. The blood thinning aspect of the omega-3 shows up, and there's some bruising, and right away they realize they're taking too much of ours. A 4,000 milligram of a fish oil seems to be equivalent to 2 of our capsules, the 1,000 milligram. Now, that's not set in stone, but if you follow the label dosage, it's one to 2 a day. I'm taking 2 a day. So that was an interesting finding. And just to finish up here before I go to Ginney for her comments, the vitamin A is a beta carotene, 5,000 international units. The vitamin E is a mixed tocopherols, all the different vitamin E complex, that's 50 international units. So we have, I guess I could say medicinal amounts, but we have amounts of vitamin A and vitamin E that are therapeutic, let's say that word. So it's a great combination for people. And I think the other thing I'd say, especially about, I'm thinking of one customer who was on 4,000 and realized he just needed 1,000 of ours. He's already on all our other formulas. So the combination of everything is going to support a lower intake of the omega-3s or of other nutrients. I've always said that if you're just looking at one nutrient, a high dose may give you a reaction, but when you're taking it in a balanced situation with all our other formulas, you're not going to need these mega doses. So Ginney, I know I've danced all over the island on that one. What have I left out?
I think one thing that I can say that I don't know if you can say is when I was looking into the omegas, I didn't know that they are a protection against age-related macular degeneration.
Oh.
And I know a lot of people ask us about that on the show. What can they do for age-related macular degeneration? And it turns out that the retinal pathways use a lot of DHA, but also to send signals to the brain. And, a lot of the DHA is in the brain. So I thought that was very interesting to know that that's a possibility for age-related macular degeneration, is to make sure you've got a lot of your essential fatty acids in tow. Yeah. So I think it's wonderful that we've got it. And I know a lot of people have commented, and my experience too was the incredible amount of energy that I got from it. The other thing was that the vitamin A is coupled with vitamin D. They work together cooperatively. And so as people are supplementing with D, that A is really going to help. So I just think it's an amazing formula that we put the A and the E with the omegas. I just love it so much.
Right, because it is the omega-3 algae is an oil, algae oil. So when you take that along with vitamin A, which is a oil-based vitamin, and vitamin E, which is an oil-based vitamin, you are helping the absorption. All three are helping the absorption of each other. And that means a lot as well. I remember, over the years, I've tried all the fish oils. They all made me burp. And then I heard some research where they say, well, you have to eat the fish oils with other fatty foods. It's like, man, that would, double whammy fats. So I think we solved that problem by putting all three together. It's very important. And then, the vitamin D, you can read about that. There's there's a chapter on the omega-3s. There's a chapter on vitamin D, chapter 3 in our total body immunity / defense. What's the name of it on the Dr. Carolyn Dean Live website right now, Ginney?
I think it's total body immunity, total body defense, but I will just confirm and I'll put a link into the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, because there are too many words to say here. We want to save time for the phone calls and all, but this whole business about vitamin D and how the controversy about does it support the immune system or doesn't it? Well, the studies will be erratic because vitamin D requires magnesium in order to make it active. So when they do studies, say on a population that doesn't have magnesium, then the vitamin D isn't going to look like it's working. That if people just happen to have enough magnesium, then it will look like the vitamin D is working for them because it's activated. So they really do have it, backwards, because they're not looking at the nutrient interaction. And this is something that we got Grassroots Health doing. They were just looking at vitamin D and omega-3s, and I don't know, those were their main focuses. And when they asked us about magnesium and realized the importance of it, they put magnesium, and I threw TSH in there, a thyroid test as well. So the interactivity is very important. So when our people who are already on their REMAG start our vitamin D3K2, then they will notice a difference right away and won't have any downside. And also, the downside with vitamin D will come when people take very high doses of vitamin D, especially the synthetic kind, because it uses up their magnesium, and then they start experiencing magnesium deficiency symptoms, or they can do, not everybody, but it's best to, potentially increase your REMAG if you're starting to take the D3K2. Have you in customer service had feedback about the D3K2, Ginney?
I think, a lot of people love it because it's high dose and they notice very quick effects from it. 5,000 milligrams a capsule with the K2 and with the RNA reset powder in it as a catalyst. It really does boost people. And, the deeper sleep, the immune system support. And I think I told you before, but maybe not on the show, we have a very dear friend in North Carolina who has struggled for years with bronchitis and lung problems, asthma, breathing. And because of the COVID, he became aware of D3. And so he started to take ours. Now he takes 3 caps a day. He takes 15,000 units, but that's all right. He has not had any bronchial problems, no breathing problems, no asthma, no nothing. And of course, he takes the Remeg. So it's really doing its job. And that's what you find with a lot of vitamin D is you do have to take the higher doses. 1,000, units is not going to get you very far.
Right. Now, let me correct something. Ginney said 5,000 milligrams. It's 5,000
sorry.
international units. And she knows that. And yes, I think it's still the case if you look at as I'll do right now, but I'll try not to get rid of the screen where I'm hooked into Rachel at the show. Oh gosh. The RDA of vitamin D might still be at 400. Yeah, look at that. For adults. This is a Canadian website that they got me to, and it's taking me ages. Oh, look, Ginney, yes, they are saying 1,000 milligrams for adults. So they have upped it from 400 milligrams or international units. I'm getting a bit confused here because it's interesting. If they're putting in milligrams, that's more than 1,000 international units. Let me look that up. 1,000 milligrams vitamin D in IUs. See if they'll help me with that. Because isn't it the case with the FDA, Ginney, that we have to change to milligrams for vitamin D in our labeling soon? Are you aware of that, or is that something different?
That is something, I don't know. I will look. Maybe.
Right. Yeah, I'm what I'll have to do is do a little bit of research on this to start correlating the milligrams and the international units, because what I noticed with just quickly searching is a lot of supplements now are talking about milligrams. So that's what we'll have to make sure people, when we're talking about this, we're talking about international units on our label. That can be very confusing for people. So I'll make a note to clarify that next week. Okay.
Very good. Excellent.
Okay.
I think, what does it say? It says that, they do, for vitamins A and D, labels must declare units of measure using micrograms rather than IUs. But I think that's what ours say. I'm going to look real quick. Don't ours say micrograms, mcg, and then IUs in parens? I feel, look.
So here they're saying one tablet of 5,000 international units of vitamin D is equivalent to 125 micrograms. So it's not even milligrams, it's micrograms. So
it's mcg.
Yeah, that is going to really confuse people as we try to, because
yes, it does. Ours are right. Yay! I was so worried.
Yeah, I know.
No, it's 125 micrograms or 5,000 IUs, and the IUs are in parentheses. Yes.
So we put both in.
Yes.
Okay, then we're clear. We're perfect. We're perfect once again.
We're perfect, but you get nervous when you whip those things out on me. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, hold on.
Okay, well, I've rambled on for most of the hour. I do have a few questions, but let's do some chat or a phone call before the top of the hour.
Okay, yes. Okay, now what has been going on here is eMusic 96785, one of our regular YouTube participants and chat line contributors. Thank you very much. We love that. Said that when we were talking about the RNA drop, when you were talking about the family connection about leukemia, she said, I think the RNA drops helped me with CLL. And I said, what's CLL? And she said, it's the type of leukemia that Dr. Dean was discussing. RNA drops were not mentioned as something the man could take. So I thought that was very precious. And this is exactly what the RNA drops do is when you do have a conflict or something of that nature or a situation, the RNA drops can respond. So that was wonderful. And then Newer Television said, RNA reset drops will effectively change your life. Even a few drops on occasion will begin to change your life for the better. Amazing stuff. So glad I decided to give this product a chance. So I think that was very, very wonderful. And of course, Patrick got excited because he actually opened up his Reebok bottle and they spilled out. But I just told him to email customer service and they'll send you another one. It's not that big. They get so excited. They just want to come bubbling right out of the bottle. So don't worry about that.
Right.
So
yes, I suppose we should say to people to open your bottle over a dish, not over the sink or over the floor. Open it over a dish because they are alive. They are alive, but we don't mean them to be effervescent or fermenty bubbly, but they can get shaken up. The whole life force of them can get shaken up.
Yes, and they are alive, and it's so hard to explain, and we try to say as little as possible, but sometimes we don't say enough. So our customers do say wonderful things, and our listeners do, and thank you so much for contributing to that. That's wonderful.
Yes, that is important because the RNA drops, they're supposed to be helping the DNA make perfect copies of our chromosomes rather than allowing them to go down some abnormal cellular processing. Abnormal cells in allopathic medicine equates to cancer cells. So we don't want abnormal cells, although I've said many times when I learned about total biology, I lost my fear of cancer because cancer is a response to a conflict as the body tries to solve the conflict by growing extra cells in an organ or tissue that the primitive mind thinks it's going to help the problem. It's quite complex.
That primitive mind.
Oh gosh.
Complexity is good.
Oh, you're not supposed to mention that. I don't know. Maybe Bob's asleep. Maybe he didn't hear that.
Oh goodness. Okay, it's time to talk to Dr. Well, actually, it's not because it's.
Well, let me handle a few questions, and I can quickly do that.
Okay.
Someone is saying, what about those who have a tendency to gout? Shrimp and scallops seem to be the culprits in creating gout. So she's wondering, who is it? Judy, wondering how to get her fish oils from food that can cause gout because seafood like shrimp, crab legs, lobster, oysters, shellfish, and scallops are rich in purines, which the body breaks down into uric acid that causes gout. So, I mean, basically that's why we have an omega-3 algae. There's a gout problem for a certain percentage of the population. There's a mercury problem for other people. So I think supplements would have to be the way to go. Someone named Margaret asks or says, when I take omega-3 fish oil and get acupuncture, I get black and blue bruising. Would you know why that might be happening? Well, omegas are blood thinners. And it's possible you're taking too much of that fish oil to cause that type of bleeding. But It can go back to the blood vessels being a little more friable because they don't have enough collagen, which you get from your vitamin C. So, well, personally, I just finish off that or cut back on what you're taking, finish that off and get our omega-3 algae and also get our whole seed reset to strengthen your capillaries. Someone says, how do I know if I need to supplement omega-3s? How will I know when I have supplemented enough? You do the Grassroots Health at-home spot test. Go to the research link at rnareset.com. Then you'll know your levels and you'll be able to follow them, every 6 months to know if you're taking the right amount. Debbie is saying, I recently started omega-3 algae A plus E, diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis 30 years ago. She says, my skin has become dry like sandpaper. So that's definitely omega-3 situation, and also hydration. She says her eyes are dry as well. So she researched it, began to take omega-3 algae A plus E. She said she had her gallbladder removed 15 years ago. One doctor I've been listening to says I may need to take bile salts to be able to digest oil-based supplements. Now, I think it's interesting because I think the algae oil is so much better absorbed than fish oil. So we'll see what happens with Debbie, see if she can digest them. And not digesting them would be getting excessive burping. And the last question by Lori, what is the ideal dose for omega-3? Can you take too much? Again, do your testing, the in-home test for omega-3s. It would be very important. You can call customer service to get more information on our testing. We probably still have a few free test kits left, and you'd go to support@rnareset.com to find out about those free test kits. So you test and you use the information that's been gathered by Grassroots Health to pet yourself in the optimum range of healthy omega-3 fatty acids. Right, Ginney?
Correct. And with that very salient point, we will take a break at the top of this hour, and we will let Dr. Dean take some Remag water and wet her whistle for another hour of taking your phone calls. The number's on the screen on YouTube. Come back and join us in the second hour.
Back with Hour 2 of the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with host Ginney Sanders, right after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com. That's drcarolyndean.com.
Did you know there are 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency? Magnesium deficiency is a public health crisis growing in scope and proportion. Dr. Carolyn Dean, author of The Magnesium Miracle, has identified over 65 health conditions associated with magnesium deficiency, 100 factors that lead to magnesium deficiency, and 24 reasons why magnesium deficiency occurs. Order The Magnesium Miracle today at Amazon.com and learn how to remedy this pervasive condition.
Do you have questions about your health? Are you wondering about alternatives? Do you ever wish you could have 5 minutes with a doctor you can trust? Someone who is an internationally recognized authority in the field of natural medicine? Meet award-winning doctor, naturopath, and best-selling author of The Magnesium Miracle, Carolyn Dean, MD, ND. Hear a wealth of information designed to empower listeners and callers to discover how to improve health, vitality, and well-being through a variety of safe strategies and nutritional options. Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. Shows can be heard every Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. Eastern, with weekly live shows, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time on syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Natural health, vitality, and well-being. Yes, everyone wants it, but not everyone is sure how to achieve it. Dr. Carolyn Dean's Completement Formulas are more than just dietary supplements. They're whole foods and picometer minerals designed to complete your nutrition, not just supplement it. Experience the difference Dr. Dean's formulas make. Visit RNAreset.com to learn more. That's RNARESET.com.
Omega Institute, offering workshops, retreats, and online learning dedicated to awakening the best in the human spirit. With more than 40 years at the forefront of holistic studies, Omega is known the world over as a trusted source for integrated approaches to personal growth and social change. Located in Rhinebeck, New York, just 90 miles north of New York City, Omega's natural environment and quiet pace allow for extraordinary experiences to unfold. Learn more at eomega.org or call 877-944-2002. Again, 877-944-2002.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
Return now to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show, along with her host, cohort, and good buddy, Ginney Sanders. Phone lines are open during live broadcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, Dream Vision 7 Radio Network. Of course, Dr. Carolyn Dean live here with you, and of course, Ginney Sanders back again. Now, let me just say, for those who are listening through the archive and the incredible amount of podcast listeners we have, thank you very much. Downloading from every corner of the universe. It's I'm starting to see the analytics coming through on our podcasting. Very fun. I just want to say, if there's something you hear on this show or any other show for that matter that you have questions on and you're not with us live, please email questions, questions, questions at drcarolyndeanlive.com. And Melody Rose will help you find the answer or connect you with Dr. Dean to get more information. But we're there to support you, even if we are not live with you as we are right now. Now, for the wonderful people who have tuned in this evening or this afternoon, as it is in here in Maui, please do not hesitate to jump on the phone with Dr. Dean. 646-558-8657 is the phone number. And then there's an ID that you have to put in, 8836953587. That allows us to do conference calls on Zoom. So it's on our YouTube page, it's in our emails, and it's also on the radio station itself, Dream Vision 7. So hopefully you've got that number handy and you'll be able to come into the call. If you're here and you'd like to talk to Dr. Dean, hit star star 9 will raise your hand in the studio and let me know you have a question or comment, and we'll put you on the air. Anything you want to say as a follow-up from last hour, Carolyn, and then we'll go to the phones.
Nope. No,
Nope.
let's do the phone because, yeah, I did ramble on a lot in the first hour. So let's answer some questions.
Okay, very good. Excellent. We shall do that now. Let's go to, hold on just a sec, area code 469. Yes, 469. Just hit star 6 on your phone, area code 469, and come on in, give us your name and then your question or comment for Dr. Dean. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much. I really appreciate getting to be on the radio with you today. And I really appreciate all the work you've done to help people feel better. And I just got your book and I found you. So I'm really grateful.
Thank you. Tell me your first name.
It's Martha.
Martha. Okay, Martha. Go ahead.
So I sent in my questions to the email because I wasn't sure if I'd get in today to talk with you. So I have 7 questions and I wasn't sure if I could ask all 7, but I just got all of your products and I do have low blood pressure, and according to all my doctors, I just went in for my physical. I'm perfectly healthy, but they said I do have low magnesium, and I sent you all my details in there, but they told me I had low vitamin D, low magnesium, and my bad cholesterol, the LDL, was 109. And my doctor told me to start taking magnesium and vitamin D, and I took it. I came home and I took it, and I felt bad. And I said to my husband, I said, oh, I don't know what's going on with this, but I found you 2 days later, started reading your book, got your products, and then yesterday was the first day I took the Remag, and I felt so good. I didn't go to sleep until 1 a.m. I had so much energy. And then I woke up at 6 a.m. and I was like, oh my gosh, it was like a train wreck, and I knew to expect it. But then I was like, I need to find out how much.
Well,
I do have low blood pressure. So
right.
I did take,
Let me start there because yes, let's get some answers to you. Did you take the 1/4 teaspoon to start with, Martha?
I did half of that, 1/4
Oh,
teaspoon.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
But
have
then
a dropper, and so I wasn't sure where I should buy a dropper because in your book you said to take 10 drops, and so I just got 1/4 of a teaspoon and I used half of it.
Right. Yes, and that's 15 drops. And
Yeah.
and now you had the energy, and I guess you kind of burned yourself out a little bit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the next day I couldn't think. Like, I literally opened the refrigerator, I looked inside, and I couldn't figure out what to cook. And I looked.
Right.
I
But
just
Martha,
stood there.
it's
I
okay.
know. I know I'll get better. I believe you. I do.
Right. And I know you're excited, but I want to be able to get to all your questions. So let me just, try to help you with, yes, even if you see what you do is put that 1/8 of a teaspoon, 15 drops in the whole liter of water with sea salt. Did you do that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
good.
did.
And you drank
I
it
did
through the
that.
day.
I did, and I said I need to take I didn't know when to take the Remite and how much of it to take.
In our instructions, I think you got a page of instructions. It says to wait for, a week or so to start the Remite.
Okay, wait 1 week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want your body to get used to the Remag, and maybe with the Remag you should take that 1/8 of a teaspoon and spread that out over 2 days, and that way you won't stir too much up. I mean, it's going to be beneficial, but you don't want to, be sleepless. You don't want it to cause insomnia.
Yeah, because normally I go to, for the last 12 years, I've been so tired but I go to bed at 9:30 every night and I sleep till 8 a.m. and I still wake up tired.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
So I
and
was really surprised how much energy I had, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing! I know it's going to work. I know it's going to get me better."
right.
But
I know
need
it's a good start, but then, people start, cleaning the house and just instead of kind of
yeah.
resting and sitting with it.
Okay.
Okay, so those are two
So
things.
an
Now,
eighth of
you
a
know,
teaspoon in 1 liter of water per day, then instead of
no, for
is that what
2
you're saying?
days through
For 2 days?
instead of the one day, and that cuts it in half so that you get hydrated with the water. And are you putting the 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt in the water as well?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, can we go to your next question?
Okay, yes, thank you. So when I do start after 3 days, should I increase it a few more drops,
Yes.
or by 1/8
Yeah,
of a
but
teaspoon
what you do,
2 days?
Martha, is you look back, maybe keep a little diary and
Okay,
see how you felt, because we want you by, day 3 to, not have the crash
okay,
in the morning. So it
okay,
might be 5 days before you feel balanced enough to increase, but um, and
okay,
that way you just slowly increase and stay stable. Because if you increase too fast and then you say, oh, that's too much, and then you decrease, your body gets mad at you for decreasing and will,
okay,
start yeah, will start to demand more remag. You see what I mean? You just want a
okay,
stable increase all the time, watching yourself and say, okay, I feel good. I feel, things are improving. Let me add some more. Okay.
so just go up by 1/8 of a teaspoon once I don't feel the crash. So it could take 5 days or 3 days or 7 days.
Correct. And it may
Okay,
be at the end of, by 5 days, you may say, oh, I can take the whole 1/8 of a teaspoon in one day instead of taking it through the 2 days. See what I mean?
uh-huh,
Because I'm telling you to take the 1/8 of a teaspoon, put it in the water and the sea salt, and keep it there and drink half of it today and half of it tomorrow.
okay.
Okay?
That's good advice. I really appreciate that
Right.
because,
And
yeah,
and then what your increase at day 5 or 6 will be, oh, I'm going to drink that whole liter of water in one day.
okay,
And then we already said about the remite, you really should wait, um, at least a week, 10 days, and then you start the
okay.
remite slowly as well.
Start it slowly as well.
Yeah.
So I just take do I need to take half a capsule or do like a eighth of a capsule or something like that?
The remite is the drops. Are you talking about the realign capsules, Martha?
Oh, the remite are drops. That's right.
Right.
I
Okay.
hadn't started on that, so I forgot.
Yeah, I don't know you, I don't know your experience, but if you've been chronically tired and all, you probably want to start with 1/8 of a teaspoon of remite as well, because it's going to start stimulating your thyroid hormone production.
Okay. Yeah, my thyroid, my doctor said everything was normal in me. I just came back from my annual physical, and they did all my blood work, and they said the only thing that was low was my magnesium and my vitamin D.
Uh-huh. Okay, so
And
for
so
vitamin D, what would be good is if you get our home test kit. I think we still have some free test kits available. Instead of paying whatever $215, we're giving it out for free to do, like a research project. So
okay,
that will tell us a better value on your magnesium and your vitamin D and your omega-3 fatty acids and a thyroid test as well. Because the tests that are done in in the labs, they don't look at the optimal number that you want to be. They just look at what the average of the sick population is.
Yeah,
Okay.
that totally makes sense. I would love to get that free kit.
So, Ginney, where do you want Martha to go for that? Ginney is coming.
Okay.
You email support, SUPPORT, at rnareset.com. It's our support email for the products, and put in the subject line that you'd like the free test kit from the radio show, and they will hook you up.
Great. That's wonderful. Okay. I did
And
order.
then,
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Martha.
Yeah, I did order your vitamin D and the Realign as well. And I read your book, and it said not to take your D until my magnesium was in the optimal range of 6.5. And I was like, oh, that's like maybe a year or two from now, right? So maybe I ordered it too early.
No, I know. I mean, that's a general recommendation. Of course, people we don't know, but what I would say is when you're at a teaspoon a day of the Remag, then you start taking the vitamin D.
Okay, absolutely.
And by that time, what you're going to do is be in touch with our customer service people. And, probably every, week, 10 days, every 2 weeks or so, you'll email support with your questions and maybe have a phone conversation with someone so that you can keep asking your questions so that, we do this step by step.
Oh, that's wonderful. I appreciate that because
Yeah, I
it's very helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
So next question.
Okay. I think so. The Realign, I bought that as well. Should I be taking that when I start the Remag?
Yes, you can take that straight away. It's a B vitamin with a couple of detoxing amino acids, and that will help. As the Remag is sort of stimulating metabolism, it detoxifies the body, and the Realign will help that process, so it'll be smoother for you. And the B's, of course, are good for the nervous system, so you can start with one a day, straight away, and then in a week you can add the second one.
In a week, okay.
Okay, what else?
Yeah. Let's see.
I've lost count. You said 7 questions.
I know. Oh yeah. Then so I'm a vegan, and I've been vegan 8 years, and I also bought your Recalcia, and I read in your book you said not to take it until my magnesium doses were up, and I thought, oh, well, I don't know when I should start taking that because my magnesium from the Remag is going to be so little as I just start.
Right.
I didn't
Well,
know
what we do there, Martha, is we get you to go to an app called Chronometer.com, CRONOMETER.com, and put in. They have a way of assessing how much calcium is in your diet. So you tick off what you're eating, and then they tell you how much calcium you're getting. And what you're looking to get is 600 milligrams of calcium from your diet or from diet and supplements. And if you're taking less than 600, then you'll make up the rest of it with the Recalcia. And that as well, you start looking at taking Recalcia if you need it when your Remag is about a teaspoon a day.
Okay.
Now, what's your blood type? Do you know that, Martha?
I think I'm an O.
Have you ever had any thought that whatever your symptoms are, which I don't really know, are related to not having enough animal protein?
I don't know. I think so the reason I went vegan was because when I went to the doctor, they told me my bad cholesterol, my LDL was too high, and I had to eat a vegan diet to get it below 100, and I'm at 109. And I'm really, really short. I'm only 5'2", and I'm 120 pounds now. I'm so skinny. And I feel better when I eat a vegetarian or vegan diet just because I get more fiber and I get more vegetables. But I feel like because I can't eat more than like 2 or 3 cups of food at a mealtime, that when I ate meat, it just felt hard to digest and like I wasn't getting enough vegetables in my diet.
Right. Our restructure.
I did start eating sardines a month ago because I started having really bad anxiety. Just out of the blue, I never in my entire life suffered with anxiety, and I just had really terrible anxiety, so I started trying sardines. And then I found you, and I was like, oh, and my doctor said I had a magnesium that was low, and I was like, oh, maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it, right? Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, we'll do this step by step, but what I was asking is our restructure. That's our food supplement, our meal replacement, so to speak. It's got carbohydrates, protein, and fats, but it is partly made from whey protein, so that's a dairy product. Would you eat that?
Yeah, I'm not allergic to milk. I like milk. I just wasn't eating it the last while because I had really powerful antibiotics in February that messed up my gut. And I think when I went to see my medical doctor, she said that she believes that antibiotics are what triggered this anxiety because my microbiome is messed up.
Yeah. Well, that's, did you read about my Flora Revive and Pico Silver for rejuvenating the gut?
I read a little bit. I haven't read very much yet.
Right. Yes, for the gut, I guess the best book there. I have a lot of free ebooks. The best book to start with is at drcarolyndeanlive.com, and it's Reset the Yeast Connection. And that's about how yeast will overgrow when you have antibiotics. It kills off all the good and bad bacteria and allows yeast to overgrow. And that's what throws the gut out of balance. So you'll read that and see what you think there, because the Flora Revive is an antifungal and probiotic, and the Pico Silver is an antifungal. So that can, I mean, you've already had certain symptoms, and then the antibiotics threw more at you. So there's a lot going on for you. I can see that.
Yes, I know my gut isn't happy because I have like a rash and little bumps all over my neck and my face, and I never get bumps or rashes on my face. And I'm really just not very hungry all the time.
Yeah.
So eating is a chore because my gut's all messed up.
Right. Yeah, the rashes do tend to be yeast overgrowth. Okay, so Ginney, who should we hook Martha up with? Julie or Doug or Melody Rose? Who would be the best contact?
I think probably Julie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Martha already has a lot of the products, and I mean, I didn't really take a history of what's going on, but it would be important for you to sit on the phone with one of our wonderful customer service people so you can do this step by step, because I see, you really, want to improve and you're on the right track and all the rest of it, but we want to make sure you
Yeah.
do it, step by step and have the support that you want for
Yeah.
all this.
Yeah, I've been drinking, I've been trying to get the good bacteria to grow what is it called? There's a certain type of bacteria, I can't remember.
Well, there's
Akkermansia. There's a bacteria called Akkermansia, and Dr. William Lee said you can get it to grow by drinking pomegranate juice and cranberry juice. So I've been drinking 8 ounces of that, trying to get that Akkermansia to grow.
No.
Not so much, because I know pomegranate, they're not that sweet, but they still are fructose. They're fruit sugars, and fruit sugar will really grow your yeast.
Maybe that's why my getting worse.
maybe, but we know all these things, because we've been working with people, me and Ginney in the customer service, all very well versed in everything you've been talking about. So I'm going to leave you with the answers I've given you.
Thank you so much.
You will email in for your test kit and also say you would like to make a phone appointment with Julie.
Okay.
And that you can start with what we talked about, and you don't have to talk to Julie for another week or so, and that'll give both of you time to set that up properly. Okay?
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful because, Dr. Dean, since I was 30 years old, it was like shaking. I would shake when I'd walk. It looked like I had cerebral palsy. And I went to neurologists, and I went in to my regular doctors, and they did CAT scans and MRIs, and they said, well, your blood work is fine. There's nothing wrong with you. We don't know what's wrong with you. Go home. And here it is 12 years later. I'm 42, and my symptoms are getting worse. And I thought, when I found your book, I was like, this has to be the answer.
I see. Well, what I call what you're going through, I call it total body meltdown. And I think you might agree because you have all these symptoms, but we're used to it. We say to people who approach us with all what, you've laid out in these few minutes, we say the worst is over. The worst is over. We know what's going on, and we have the resources and the people that will sit with you, very patiently. And, the fact that you felt so good on that little bit of Remag is very hopeful, and you felt that as well. And now we just have to support you so that you don't overdo it.
Yes, because I was like, well, I don't know. I saw the Flora Revive, and I was like, I don't know if I should do that first or if I should do Remag all at the same time. So maybe Julie will know. And
exactly. And Julie, she's on all the products. She's gone through her process, and she'll know exactly what to do. And Julie has direct access to me. If she has a question, she'll come straight to me. So it's all good. It's all
and
good.
My other
Okay.
question is, if you're getting older, I think, and if you were to pass away, please tell me your products are always going to be available for people in their lives.
Well, first of all, I'm never going to die. And and yes, I have a contingency plan that the company will never be publicly traded and will always be the products will always be available.
Very good. Okay, because I told my husband, I was like, what if this makes me better and then I can't get it because something.
Yeah. Oh, that's sweet. That's very sweet. Well, yeah, tell your husband that, everything's just fine. Okay, hon, I'm going to let you go now.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your help. And I can tell that you really care about people, and I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And you asked great questions. A lot of people learned a lot of a lot of information by your questions. So we appreciate that. Okay, Martha?
Thank you. Have a great day.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
sweetie. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yay!
Yay! We love her.
I know. Julie's gonna, Julie and Martha, are
Julie.
you kidding? Yeah.
That's like a big slurpy banana sundae, juicy delight of epic proportions.
They'll be
Martha,
flying out back and forth to meet each
yes,
other.
yes, they
Martha
will
will go
be.
down to Julie on the farm and ride the horses. I can see it all
Yeah,
now.
yes,
She'll
yes,
adopt
yes.
her. Julie will adopt Martha. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Very good. Okay, so now what I want to tell you is this. Sarah Courtney has chatted into the show, and which is very exciting. And this is what her report is on the omega-3. She said, my skin has never been better since I started the omega-3 just 3 months ago. I'm noticing how strong my skin is, even in the last month, resilience to sun, wind, and dryness, having just returned from Southwest New Mexico. I didn't freckle or burn, just got golden skin. My omega test results went from 4.52 to 7.87, which surprised me since I eat fish twice per week, flax, hemp, and chia. And I said, yes, of course, we agree, and golden brown and all that. And I said, how long did it take for your score to go up? And she said her low score from 10 to 20 and just received the results. Oh, her low score was October of 20. So she just did the testing on 6/21. And so just in 8 months of taking our omegas. Yeah. So 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
June 2021. That's wonderful, Sarah. You always give us a very, very good comprehensive report. That is perfect. Yeah, it's important for the skin. I mean, seriously, Ginney, I was shocked when I read Helga Ferry's report on these essential fatty acids, how the kids, their behavior, their skin, it all shifted when they didn't have and then had their essential fatty acids. And when you read these studies about the essential fatty acids, they don't even talk on along these in these terms. They just look at one little disease entity. They treat these nutrient studies like they do drug studies, and they're worlds apart. But so a report that Helka wrote about in this article, you really have to go to my book, The Total Body Defense or Total Body Immunity, and read the chapter on omega-3 fatty acids. So
well, it's interesting, omega-3, the DHA, and I don't know if you remember this, but we asked our friend about right when the omegas came out, and they talked about the light. And what happens, with the omegas, I found out through my research and wondering to know, how much I should take and this kind of thing as well, was it surrounds the entire mitochondrial membrane.
Oh, I see.
It's in every single mitochondria.
Right.
So it's going to be incredible for your skin and for your eyes and for your brain because it's surrounding that powerhouse. And that's why I kept going back to the lampstand. So I think it's very exciting what people are experiencing with the omegas, and it's consistent across the board. And I think the A&E just makes it so amazing too.
Right. Awesome. Yes. And if even a quarter of our customers are like me and can't take the fishy burps, then this is a godsend because you're getting something that doesn't make you burp, but yet is more powerful than the fish oils. And I really do believe, as I said in the beginning, if they have to take mercury out of the fish oils, then the processing they're putting these fish oils through is changing the way our body is able to absorb these now processed, substances. We don't even know what we're getting. It's just, to me, it's super scary, actually.
Well, when you
Super
think about it, the fish live in cold water. So, just to keep, they really say that the best kind of omegas are cold processed, but that is not even a guarantee because, again, of what's required, as you've observed so many times.
Uh-huh. Yes, right. I'm looking at the mitochondrial membrane. It is a phospholipid bilayer. So the phosphorus plus a fat. So that's where an omega fat can be that lipid in the membrane of a mitochondria, which keeps it together.
100%. And of course, what is mitochondria doing? Of course, at the skin level and at the brain and the heart level, is it's charging our entire being. So you've got your wonderful DHA, your omegas, your lipids that our friend is always talking about, and then you've got your incredible magnesium making ATP, cha, and we've got zinc, and we've got potassium, cha, and the next thing you know, we're just fired up, woo, and it's so cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm very happy. I know I tease myself about the fact that I have so many products now that I never thought I'd have, but they're all required. I mean, there's no question. If you want body defense and longevity, this is the 2 handfuls that you require. It really is. And I finally found the RDA of vitamin D, and it is, I must have been looking at a chart from another world, but they still have the RDA of 400 to 600 international units. And it's 10 micrograms is 400 units. So seriously, we're telling people that and proving to people by their vitamin D blood levels that you need 5, 10, 15,000 IUs a day. And medicine is letting people get away with 400 to 600. It's just criminal.
Yeah. And I can just, I wish you guys could all share my brain so you could see what I'm seeing when we were in Washington, D.C. in 2019 at the NIH conflagration of all the top researchers who mill around with, their research tucked under their arms and have absolutely no contact with the public and absolutely no way to implement anything they find. It could be stacked up to the ceiling as it probably is now because of COVID. And we already know that people have totally left their outdoor environment and they're living inside in front of TV screens and computers. And then we wonder, when they're going to get around to retooling the RDA of vitamin D. And in the meantime, people are sick. It's just crazy.
Yeah, amazing. And, if you've been holding your breath for someone in the government to tell you to take your vitamin D and vitamin C and zinc and magnesium, you're just going to suffocate because nobody's going to tell you that. Yeah. And it's very frustrating. So you have to tell yourself and you have to tell everybody that this is the way to protect yourself.
Yes, we should. I wish there was a way that we could encourage every single one of our customers, or which in the numbers of hundreds of thousands, to come on our radio show on a regular basis and just report in so that people could continue to be inspired and share, because we just want to continue to get the word out to people. This stuff works. It's in the proper dosage. It's in the proper form. It has the proper absorptive catalyst. And just like Sarah Courtney, and I love her to death. And, she is a very thoughtful, intelligent woman. And she was just like, I'm so surprised because I eat my fish, I do my flax and my hemp, and here I am, just deficient, not properly saturated. So it's exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah. Fish. We were all into that. Flax oil. I would tell people keep it in the freezer because it goes rancid after 3 weeks. The chia seeds. I mean, everybody was all into the food sources of vitamin D, and we were just not getting enough. Incredible. Okay, onward.
Onward. Okay, I want to say that Melody Rose, our dear Melody Rose, just reported in and said that she and Tolan figured out how to listen to the show on TV. So now we are on TV, Carolyn. We are TV stars.
Ooh.
And she said she's loved watching it through the TV. So that's absolutely wonderful. So fun things abound. Okay.
Well, thank goodness my camera isn't on.
Can you imagine both of us in HD? I mean, it would be a pretty picture because you're so beautiful. You could stand the HD, but I could not stand the scrutiny of my pores. You know, I walk through the living room and see that TV, and it's like people's pores and their noses are like tunnels. It's so big.
I know. The first huge HTD TV or whatever I saw was a supplement manufacturer. He had his little 2-year-old child in his arms. We were standing in his living room looking up at Barney, who was like 20 feet tall. And what kind of perception does that leave a child with, where Barney is, 3 times bigger than his own dad? Isn't that crazy?
That's so true. I never thought of that. Barney's bigger than my father.
Yes. Yeah, Barney is God. I mean, that's what this crazy TV has done to the younger generations. But anyway, moving on.
Okay, so phone calls tonight, 646-558-8657. If you're on the line, you've got to hit *9 to raise your hand and let me know you have a question or comment, *9, and then I'll put you on the phone with Dr. Dean. We've got about another 18 minutes before the top of the hour. So if you're here to talk to Dr. Dean, please hit *9 on your phone. Otherwise, we will press on with entertaining ourselves and having a most important schedule.
Exactly. Yes, because I don't have any testimonials. I mean, we could dance over to Amazon and read Amazon testimonials, I suppose.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yes, send us your testimonials then on the YouTube. We'll have to get our YouTube audience to participate. I was going to ask them a little earlier a question, but I kind of forgot what it was. I know because they love to participate and everybody's so vocal. I think it probably was. Oh, yes. How many of the people on the show, because I think a lot of our radio show listeners are using our free Grassroots Health Kit free to the people in our radio show audience. What was your essential fatty acid score for the people who've done that? Did you, I'd like to see if anybody was even in the 8s or higher, because, that's the level of saturation. And when Grassroots Health could, point us to that number, as Carolyn said, we were all about it. We're like, let's get on it. So text me your score and let me know what it was, just so we can kind of see where our audience was. But I know everybody that we talked to in our warehouse was pathetically low. I mean, 2 or less.
Wow.
That was crazy. Yeah.
Well, mine was 5.57. I just looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Again, if you're calling into the show to talk to Dr. Dean, you've got to hit *9 on the keypad, *9 to let me know you have a question or comment. Otherwise, I can't see your hand, and I don't know that you want to talk with her.
Right. So I just want to go back and go over Martha's call. She covered, a lot of things there. And I didn't know how long the call was going to be with her, and we sort of found out her history as she went along. At age 30, she was shaking. Now, those tremors, those sort of what do they call them? Essential tremors is what they call them, which means they haven't got a clue what caused them. They tend to be magnesium deficiency. And actually, where is that? Yeah, Bob posted Newman's testimonial. Did you see a
Yes.
testimonial from our 86-year-old.
Yes.
And let me read that out. Julie at customer service wrote had a nice, she says she had a nice visit. That's what she calls her telephone calls. A nice visit with Newman as he placed his order. He's 86 years old and has been on the formulas since he was about 75. He heard Dr. Dean on a radio show years ago speaking about someone that had the shakes. They were taking 1,000 milligrams of Remag, and it had helped them so much. He had the shake so bad that he could not feed himself or write his name. After several years of 1,000 milligrams of Remag daily in his sea salted water, his hands are as steady as when he was 20 years old. He had a catheter for his prostate, and he was up all night having to urinate. Now he does not have a catheter and sleeps through the night, all night long. He had migraines for years, and they have completely gone. He's also using Pico Silver in his eyes, for they sometimes are dry. It has helped his vision and dryness. He still listens to every show. Newman's on listening to our show. And Julie ends the email. I think she probably sent it to you too, Ginney. She says, Newman, what a treasure. Isn't that sweet? So that's the best testimonial. And that's our over 80 club, where people starting in their 70s, now in their 80s, feel better than when they were in their 20s.
Right
so
on.
Top that.
Top that. Very good. Okay, let me just say from our chat line, our YouTube chat line, that Charisse was 1.3. Oh, Charisse, goodness gracious, her omegas. And Alan's was at 5, and then it went up to 5.87, but he was not using the omegas yet, so we'll have to see. And Newark Television wrote in and said, weaning off estrogen after many years, having hot flashes, mind racing, and mood swings. So I've avoided stopping estrogen. If I try again, what product would help ease that transition?
Well, I don't know what form of estrogen, but my criteria are, because I had horrendous hot flashes, and my mother, she was having hot flashes up to the day she died, poor woman. So I thought I better do something, after putting up with it for years. So I use a estrogen and progesterone bioidentical cream vaginally, so that it keeps my vaginal tissues from getting dry, and it's absorbed through the body, so it stopped the hot flashes and treated whatever imbalance I had. So I don't tell people to quit estrogens in that form. Bioidentical vaginal application, and with a balanced progesterone. And the type of estrogen is, what's it called? It's the estrone, estradiol, estriol, because there's 3 types of estrogen. And let me see if I can find this. It's Triest. Yeah. The name of the 3 together is called Triest. I'm myself personally on 3.75 milligrams of that and 200 milligrams of progesterone. And I use less than what's, the dosage recommended. When you take something like that, you're using too much. If the sides of your breasts get a little tender, it means you've got too much estrogen. And of course, if you don't take enough, then you start getting a little hot flashy again. So that's my answer.
Okay, very good. Outstanding. Very good. Okay, let's see where we're at. No phone calls
but
here.
Ginney,
go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I didn't, for NYTV. What you would take, of course, is your, the Remite, because what is it? There's 20 or more symptoms of menopause that are related to magnesium deficiency. And Remite, we talk about it supporting the thyroid. It does a lot more things, but when your sex hormones are off balance, you really have to support your thyroid and adrenals. So that brings in the Realign for your adrenals, as well as vitamin C and the sea salt in the water. So all those things are important. And, perhaps the RNA drops, we should pull those in as well, because, when you're going through that type of hormonal transition, the body the body's going through a shift, and the RNA reset drops are very, very much tuned into shifting and kind of detaching from a shift. If you're going through a transition, like heaven forbid, a grief transition, the RNA reset drops will help that.
Okay, now we have 2 people piling into the phones in the last 7 minutes of the show, you guys. So we'll try to see if we can get them both in, but for sure we'll go to 510 first. So area code 510, if you could hit *6 and let us know your name and your question, *6 to unmute your phone, and then let us know your name and your question for Dr. Dean tonight, area code 510. Yum, 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 yum. There you go. Come on in.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jamie. I'm calling from Oakland, California. And I've just been discovering you, Dr. Carolyn Dean, and watching some interviews and, listening to those interviews and, learning more about, the importance of magnesium and the supplements that you have. And I've been checking out your website and trying to figure out, what I want to get. I'd been working with a nutritionist and did some testing, and I'd been on some magnesium chelate and some other things to help with hormonal issues and some other issues, and I've been off of all of that for a few months now, and definitely experiencing more hot flashes, and my sleep is disturbed, and kind of all these other things. But now, my main question isn't really about me, but in listening to some of your interviews, I've heard of all of the things that, can go wrong in our bodies if we're magnesium deficient. And I have a friend who is in her mid to late 60s and is just having the worst health problems, of her life. She's always had heart problems and health conditions and had heart attacks at a very, young age, I think in her 40s. And she's having so much trouble with, regular doctors and having her doctors, basically dealing with her doctors to tend to all of these things. And I just, it's just like, I want to help. And it's like so difficult when I'm like, oh, magnesium seems to be the root cause of your heart stuff, your muscle twitching, some of the memory stuff that you seem to be having, the sores in her mouth, her inability to kind of swallow and eat, and, constipation and diarrhea all in the same day, and just like, it's just so frustrating. I just guess I want to know, like, do you have any kind of advice? Like, it's like I want to help, and I tried to talk to her, and like, oh, I listened to this interview, and hoping that she might pique her interest and have her want to listen to it to, like, learn.
Well, will she listen? Is she interested? Because if she's not interested, it's not your job, Jamie. It really isn't. I mean,
I'll try to talk about things like, oh, well, I learned this about me, and this is what I'm doing. But then she has PTSD from all this other stuff, and our last conversation, it totally triggered her. And, really got her upset. And I'm just like, okay.
No, let's just deal with you. Let's just deal with you. And what you can do is go to the website with all the free ebooks, drcarolyndean.com. And Ginney, is one of my books called Total Body Meltdown?
Yes. Yep, it sure is. It
How about
sure is.
sending her that? And, you could even say, let's talk about this book sometime. Or, I won't talk to you until you read this book. But anyway, that's what she needs. She's got total body meltdown. And, there's too many things for you to say. Plugging things up one at a time isn't going to help.
Right.
And in terms of your, hormonal issues, as you say, you heard me earlier saying to, who was it? I forget. Sorry,
Well, I just
Martha?
tuned in.
Martha.
So
Yeah.
fortunately I missed most of the show, but
Yeah, we were talking about menopausal symptoms, and about 24 of them are related to magnesium deficiency. And the thing with our Remag, it's 100% absorbed at the cellular level. It's picometer in size, so it's not going to cause laxative effects. So a person can take enough to really get everything going, the 1,000 enzyme system. So, that's a place to start. If your hormones are out of balance, then the thyroid needs to be supported, and that's our Remite. So it goes, clickety clack down the track, as Ginney says. And what you would start with? Do I have a women's book, Ginney?
Yeah, we have Total Body Reset for women, but it's also a webinar. So if you want to listen to the webinar and the women's book, they're both side by side on the website at drcarolyndeanlive.com.
Okay, and sorry, and the name of the second one was Total Body
Reset for Women, and it actually goes through all the stages of a woman's life. Your puberty, your productive years, your reproduction, your postmenopause, your premenopause. I mean, everything, and it talks about all the different stages of women's health and their hormonal challenges.
Okay, good to know. My mother too had suffered from hot flashes until the day she died. Unfortunately, she died at a young age of 68. A few years ago of cervical cancer, and I think that a few years just prior to that, she had decided to go on some hormonal stuff, and I think that may have, fed things, so so to speak. So I don't want to be her. I don't want to be having hot flashes for. She started at 35 and had them until she died.
So you heard me a minute ago talking about. Yeah, using vaginal creams bioidentical. So, that's important to look at. So, read the book and then look at what would be helpful to you, because nutrition is important, but what's most important is whether or not the nutrients you use are absorbed. And that's what we specialize in, things that work.
Yes, I was very impressed, hearing that and knowing that, and I've kind of been on a holistic journey for the last 25 plus years, and I had candida yeast overgrowth, which is kind of what got me. Well, I had a car accident and found a holistic doctor, and he's like, "Oh, you got candida overgrowth," and we went on a cleanse and did all that, and I've changed my diet ever since then. And
well, you may have read, that's the two things that I consider is the yeast overgrowth and mineral deficiencies. And
Jamie, you're going to have to call back in. Carolyn, I hate to do that, but we've only got 1 minute to wrap up the show. But call back in and stay with it. Yes, Carolyn.
Yes, and thank you so much.
Sure,
you're
bye,
closing.
Jamie. Yep. Closing thoughts.
Awesome to have you here, Ginney. I love you. I love you. I love you. And we're partly working on the farm project up here. It's important for us to be digging in the soil and creating things that are helpful to the microbiome of the soil, as well as our own personal intestinal microbiome. So we'll keep you posted on all our exciting news.
Yes. And Bob was with us. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Rachel. Thank you. I love you too, Carolyn.
listening to the Dr. Carolyn Dean live radio show. For questions about today's broadcast, email Dr. Dean at questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com. That's questions@drcarolyndeanlive.com.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.